Hello, in this presentation I'm going to talk about auxiliaries in English and Spanish, because knowing correct auxiliary verb usage is a key to correct tense usage. An auxiliary verb is a verb that determines the mood, tense, or aspect of another verb in a verb phrase. Basically, auxiliary verbs are function words used to add functional or grammatical content to the information expressed by another verb considered to be the main verb. Those are some examples. We'll be there in a minute. Auxiliary is will, while the main verb will be be. Did you visit New York last holiday? Auxiliary is did, while the main verb is visit. In English, auxiliary verbs always precede main verbs within a verb phrase. Auxiliaries are also known as helping verbs, which contrast actually with lexical verbs. Some examples are, am writing a book, has done the homework. Would you help me with this homework? Can you open the door? Do you like chocolate? They must get there on time. Here is a list of the English auxiliary verbs. Be, that can be am, are, is, was, were, or being, depending on the verbal tense. Can, could, do, that can be did, does, or doing. Have, that can be had, has, or having. May, might, must, shall, should, will, and would. Auxiliary verbs are used to form the passive voice, to form the continuous tense, and the perfect tense. Be, do, and have, on the other hand, are auxiliary verbs and irregular verbs that can actually be used as main verbs. Modal verbs are also auxiliary verbs, and they differ from the others in that they can never function as a main verb. The auxiliary verb often doesn't have any meaning in itself, only in how it affects the main verb. For example, in the sentence, I might, doesn't have any meaning in itself. So, I might go has a meaning itself. So, the auxiliary verb and the main verb together form what is known as a compound verb. In Spanish, there are three auxiliary verbs: haber, ser, and estar. Haber, in its semantic usage, is replaced in modern language by the verb tener. In the example, habemos papa would be in modern English just tenemos papa, we have a pope. Haber is also used grammatically with the past participle to form the compound tenses. For example, no he estado en Argentina would be I haven't been to Argentina. Finally, but not less important, haber is used impersonally, so that in third person only. For example, había guardias a la salida would be there were some guards at the exit. Spanish has two auxiliaries meaning to be which are not interchangeable. Look at those examples. La señora es linda. That means that the lady is pretty. La señora está linda. That means that the lady looks pretty at this specific moment. According to this, we could say that the usage of ser semantically is used to describe an essential or inherent characteristics or qualities. For example, Ana is tall. Ana es alta. While estar semantically is used to express aspects that are not inherent and may be changed. Like for example, Lola was happy. Lola estaba feliz. Auxiliary verbs are used much more often in English than they are in Spanish. That's because Spanish is able to use conjugation to indicate tenses that sometimes are expressed in English with auxiliary verbs. For example, the future tense in English uses the auxiliary verb will, as in I will study. But Spanish needs no auxiliary verb in this case, as the future is expressed through a verb ending estudiaré. English also uses the auxiliary verb do to form many questions, as in do you study? Such an auxiliary isn't needed in Spanish, in which the case would be estudias. Two very common English auxiliaries have equivalents in Spanish. In English, forms of to have are combined with the past participle to form the perfect tenses. For example, I've taken a shower. In Spanish, a verb is used. He vivido aquí durante meses. In English, forms of to be are combined with the present participle to form the progressive or continuous tenses. I'm leaving now. In Spanish, forms of start are used with the gerund. For example, estoy comiendo. Now, let's look at these examples. Auxiliary verbs are in bold. Note that sometimes an auxiliary is used in one language but not in the other. I have bought a house. He comprado una casa. We're celebrating. Estamos celebrando. He does not work. No trabaja. I can swim. Puedo nadar. Drive fast. Manejo rápido. In general, forms in English that require an auxiliary, other than the forms that use the verb haber, don't require auxiliaries in Spanish. So remember, knowing correct auxiliary verb usage is a key to correct tense usage. Bye.